especially during his senior year, because he had so many troubles, seeing eye to eye with Randy Shannon. But Randy Shannon stuck with him, had faith in him, got him back on the field, and actually was a huge contributor last year to the Miami Hurricane football team. But great to see him out there on a wet track. It poured rain all night on Thursday night. He goes out there on a wet track and runs a 4.240. Definitely catching the eyes of NFL scouts there, which every NFL team had a representative at that workout yesterday.
First look at Daron Dye, a redshirt freshman out of Sanford, Seminole High School. Suffered from a knee injury last year and surgery on it. Gained 15 pounds of muscle following that surgery and just added depth to the already deep defensive end position.
You got to have depth. One thing we've learned the last couple of years, when they're thin at the defensive line, you're thin at the offensive line, those little nicks that you pick up in week 1, week 2, those things are magnified later on in the season, and you're not going to get the same performance out of your offensive defensive line in those crucial games down the stretch.
Well, the offensive line struggling right now, not giving much of a chance at the running back position for the likes of Storm Johnson. Gotta love that name, and I know you've been looking forward, K.C. Jones, to seeing Storm on the field, and a Storm right there, a collision with a couple of linemen. Oof. You miss those days, Casey?
I do actually. It's always fun to go back and watch spring football, because it's a time when it's a more physical play. These guys aren't game planning. It's actually, there's a lot more one-on-one drills. There's more competitive drills on the field, so you really get to see who's actually going to step up, who's going to become a leader on the field. And looking at the offensive and defensive line, I'm very impressed with not only the physicality of these guys, but the intensity in which they practice at. The tempo of practice yesterday was very high, actually probably matching today. It seems it's slowed down a little bit today, but I think that's attributed to Randy Shannon's attitude. He wants guys to be disciplined, play with whistle to whistle, but he also wants that intensity. He wants guys to play with passion. I think you're finally seeing that in the spring.
At this point, no surprise, with the third quarter winding down, the defensive line, with all that depth, starting to wear down a thin University of Miami offensive line, which is playing without a couple of possible starters, Orlando Franklin and Joel Figueroa, both out with injuries this afternoon.
Jeff Stoutland told me yesterday he's going to find the 5 best offensive linemen, regardless of position. He's going to get those 5 guys on the field, even if they have to move guys from guard to tackle. You see Orlando Franklin was bumped over from guard to left tackle to fill in for Jason Fox, who's the guard for the draft. He's going to use these guys any way he can. He's going to get the 5 best guys on the field.
And not only do Jeff Stoutland and Randy Shannon speak about some possible position changes, tackles to guards and vice versa, but they'll also look forward to some very talented incoming true freshmen. Brandon Linder, a U.S. Army All-American, headlining a group. A freshman set to arrive in the summer, and it's not impossible that a first-year Hurricane play along the offensive line, as you can attest, Casey.
It's tough, though. It's tough, especially nowadays with how big guys are. And I think it's a bigger transition coming out of high school now, just because of the sheer size of these players. I was looking at these guys yesterday, and I was 6'1", 260 at my heaviest, at my biggest at University of Miami, and was able to play at that level, at that weight. But now I see these guys, the smallest offensive linemen they have on the field, 6'3", 280.
Yeah, the starting tight end is 6'4", 270.
It's a different game.
Inside the final minute here in our third quarter, as Damian Berry between the tackles for a gain of 3 yards. Berry, who enjoyed a wonderful spring game last year, burst onto the scene and would be seen again plenty throughout the 2009 season. But Connor Regis, number 54, one of those guys on the defensive line, a junior out of Pahokee. Hurricanes do lose a veteran, Joe Joseph, who made 10 starts, a senior who moved on from the program. That brings our third quarter to a close with Damian Berry taking the handoff. 48-41. 1 period to play in our annual spring scrimmage here in Miami.